Yeah, he ain't hit it.
Y'all ready for this?
Run from it. Best you run
Dominate the guys you're playing against and make his ass quit. That's our straight.
Good evening. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the Opening Kick. As always, I got the superstar with me, my man Gerald Smoke Dixon. How are you doing on this Monday, sir?
I am doing as good as your hair, man. It looks laid down and relaxed.
Well, my haircut person's been booked up for like 3 months, so I can't. I'm having to go back to my 9-year-old haircut, and it's bad. I probably should just put a hat on. It's rough, but this is what I'm rocking with. I'm going with 9-year-old Pettey right now.
Hey, Petty, I'm gonna help you out. The world already seen it. They saw the hair already. You can't cover it up. Once you take it out, it's out. All right, so just leave it alone. I'm just giving you a hard time just because you said haircut person. What's a haircut person? There's a barber.
Stylist. Salonist, stylist. What's the correct nomenclature there, Smoke?
For men?
Yeah,
Barber. Yeah.
Well, I have a female that does it. So is it?
Females can be barbers too. They're
okay.
And like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you like to go to a stylist salon.
Well, when you're stylish as me, you go to a stylist, Smoke. That's the way it works.
I guess I've never taken my son to a stylist. Always to a barber shop.
There you go. Smoke, wasting no time hopping on me out of the gate on my stylist, my barber, but one that I do need. I do get that. It's
in the worst way.
I'm done with this mop up top. This ain't the way it worked. But that's exactly what you people came here to learn about, is Pettey's using the wrong term for barber and talking about my hair. So hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter or X, come on over to YouTube, to the Bama Standard. Hit that subscribe so you can get caught up with all the great Bama content here on our network. I think the man Terrence Cody's going to be on with us tomorrow night, so you're not going to want to miss that. And if you were around this weekend, you saw a couple videos pop with me and my man Smoke and Marvin Constant talking about spring practice, talking about Coach Shepard's comments about the receivers. If you happen to catch those this weekend and you had some thoughts on them, pop them in there. We'll discuss them. Smoke's still ready to touch on that if we got to. But we got
or just go watch them real quick while we're on. View it, come back over, and tell us what you want to know.
Yeah, ask what you want. We do got one question that I'm going to bring up from that. Somebody wanted to know some details about OTAs. We'll get to that in the show. But, man, we have a great show for you tonight. Combine season is here. One of the most notable names in the draft, Shedeur Sanders, opting to sit out of the workout portion, but is going to do the interview. Smoke, being an NFL scout, has a little idea about how important the underwear Olympics are up in Indianapolis. So he doesn't he gets on me when I say that. That's what it is. Dude, they put you in the underwear and look at you.
They don't hand out medals. They don't hand out medals. They don't hand out medals.
Well, if you run a 4.4 and you're 6'5", 280, you get a medal of going up in the first round.
Never seen a medal, but keep going.
Keep going. And we're going to see Jalen. Can Mr. Milroe, this is a week for him. Can he make up some ground? And it's been a rough couple of weeks for Jalen. This is a chance for him to go and shine one more time before in front of the NFL scouts. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to get into the SEC. There's some coaches that might be on the hot seat and who might have the most to prove in this upcoming season. We got a lot of stuff. And guys, get in the comment section, get it rolling. We're going to engage with you guys tonight. If you got questions, if you want to get hammer Smoke, because he likes to hammer me. I'd rather y'all hammer him. And, we may respond. With that said, let's give a little love real quick to the people that keep the lights on here. That is One Lamstone Company. Go to realrockstone.com. If you are building that dream home, inevitably you have seen those beautiful homes with that beautiful natural stone. Well, Real Rock Stone is your source for all your project needs. They are located in Aniana, Alabama. They're one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. And if you tell them we sent you by using the promo code the Bama Standard, you will receive 10% off your purchase of stone today. 10% off a purchase of stone on your house. That's a heck of a savings, ladies and gents. So go give them some love, of course, after the show. And also, as always, Title Towel, WhitWillSports.com. We'll catch them later in the show. Don't go.
You want me to do what you did, Petty? You want me to do what you did on Saturday?
Dude, I'm left-handed. I just get everything backwards and upside down. And I'm from Mississippi.
Yeah.
We're just backwards and upside. Go to Whitwell, tell them promo code standard and get 20% off. Take your title, Coleman Coliseum, and wave it around. With that said, man, let's hop on into it. Smoke, I know you, man, to this day, we talk all the time about the hours you spend busting through film. Oh, hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter X, come on over, hit that subscribe so you can get all your Bama content from the Bama Standard.
Good content, important content.
The best Alabama content.
Content that's not lined up with every single jargon that you're hearing. Everything's not always great. Everything's not always bad, but we all have different point of views. And the reason why you like to tune in to my guy Pettey and I, we like to share our ideas and point of views. And I'm one to say, hey, listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, man. Shedeur Sanders, one of the hottest names. I mean, his dad's a little famous in his own right, so he kind of came with a little fame coming into it. But the kid made a name for himself, being a hell of a baller. He made news this week saying he's the first big name to opt out of the workout portion, but he is going to be there doing the interviews. Smoke. You know, for us lay fans are like, well, he's, you know, is this going to hurt him? That's dumb. You know, you're not getting to show out. Is this a bad thing or a good thing? What does this mean for athletes when they opt out of this point?
I mean, it's not really good or bad. It's just something that they want to do. And if I'm a quarterback and I'm one of the top 2 quarterbacks, potential top 5 picks, there's no reason for him to work out at the combine, because what happens is the NFL, they have to figure out at some point what's too much. And for Shedeur, say he would have played in an all-star game, he would have had to throw then. Then you come to the combine, then I got to throw the combine. Then you come to my personal work, then you come to my pro, then I got to throw then. Then if you have a personal workout for me, then I got to throw for every single team that wants me to throw. At some point, enough's enough. The most important thing in the combine is medical and interview. That's the most important. You want to find out what's tied together, what's not together. And when you sit down with them and go through the interviewing process, what's their temperament, what can they understand, and what makes them tick? Because the hardest thing to gauge is an athlete's characteristic, because those are the things that you don't see on the football field. The next most important thing is, are they going to be good enough for you physically with the medical aspect of it to perform for 10 years at the quarterback position? So are they going to fail your physical? Are they going to pass your physical? And what's wrong with them?
Damon Bama Boy Davis points out he'll work out at Colorado where he's comfortable. I think that's a good point, Smoke, because there's an element of that too. He's going to just give because you're going to have just as many scouts there, mainly the ones that really want you.
Yeah, he don't need to throw for 32 teams. 32 not going to have an opportunity to draft him. He'll be gone before you get out in the top 10.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. And then he has 3 receivers, Webster, Shepard, and Travis Hunter, that he can throw to, that he's been throwing to for the last year and a half, that he's comfortable with. They have good timing, understanding how to get in and out of route. So he's going to look the best that he can possibly look in front of the most important people, the decision makers. So one of the toughest thing to do is go out and say, you know what, I'm just going to throw because I'm going to go compete. Like, these kids are competitors. These young people are competitors. Knock it off. Throwing at the combine does not make me want to go in and say, you know what, I'm going to take Cam Ward over Shedeur because he threw at the combine. Like, the 10 throws that you're going to make, whoop-dee. Like, I guess Anthony Richardson went out there and wowed everybody. Yeah, did they find out that he gets tired and he'll tap out? Maybe we should have took a little bit more time on that instead of investigating how far he throws the football.
So is it – I guess that begs the question. I don't really know how to ask it right. You get so who is this for, and what is the purpose if it really – I mean, I call it the underwear Olympics because, again, you go out there like Richardson, you look like Superman, but what does it really prove?
Yeah, first of all, these guys don't have on underwear. They have either compression shorts on and they have their uniform. Knock it off.
Tell that to Chris Jones. Was it Jones? He fell out of the box.
Is that the most is that the first thing you remember when you talk about Chris Jones? Great for you.
That was a hell of a first impression.
Yeah, ask everybody else that he's been sacking in the fourth quarter after 3 Super Bowls.
Well, and I guess that's the point. Is it for folks like, speaking of Chris Jones from Mississippi State, Montez Sweat came out a few years ago, runs a 4.4, has a 125-inch broad jump, and all of a sudden hops up and the Commanders snag him and has a pretty good career. Is it for those type of guys?
Well, if you're good at testing and you want to go out there and you say, you know what, I'm just going to go run at the combine and get it over with, because it's not the most ideal situation for these young people to perform. They get up early, well, because they're not on their own routine, right? So you get up early, you get pried and pulled on, and you have to run at not the most ideal time. Right? You get some time to warm up, but you're not in the comfort of your facility that you've been training at. So if I'm top 10, and I know that I'm a top 10 player, I'm not working out at the combine. And if I do work out at the combine, I'm not working on a pro day, and I'm damn sure not doing a personal workout. Right? I'm going to work out for you once, because there's been some instances of young people that's worked out 3 or 4 times, tear ACLs, tear Achilles. There was an offensive lineman a few years back, last name Thomas, that tore his Achilles or tore his knee up working out in the personal workout for the Saints. And I'm like, at some point, enough's enough. Record one, his best workout, and keep on pushing. But the fact that people say you're not competitive because you don't want to run at the combine, I'm not a believer in that. Never really made me no mind if you ran at the combine or I had to come see you, because most likely 99.9% of these scouts are going to go to these pro days anyway. And if you have a personal workout, that's going to happen there too.
Damon Bama Boy Davis, wonder if the Giants will draft Sanders because the NFC has nothing but mobile quarterbacks.
Sanders not a mobile guy. Sanders not a mobile quarterback. He's not. He's more pocket than anything. When we think of Sanders, you're thinking of his dad. 2 different guys. He's an average at best athlete. That's a quick processor inside the pocket, understands where to go with the ball, can get the ball there. Slightly above average arm strength in terms of making all the throws and big boy throws, but he can throw it with timing, touch, and accuracy. Listen, at best, I would put him in the Dak category, his ceiling. And Dak's given us 14-2 seasons with good players around him.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask. I'm gonna throw a curveball. I didn't even think to ask this, but I guess it came.
You know I can hit curveballs, right? You know
I know you like curveballs.
I hit curveballs. Okay.
You can hit. You can see the spin. You catch that spin quick, Smoke.
Man, listen to me. Great hands, great eyes. I catch.
You've had who? Now I talked about Montez Sweat, who kind of showed up and surprised. One maybe not showed up, but still surprised in just how freakish, and a guy that you love to talk about, and rightfully so, and give a little love to the Bama Nation, is Julio Jones. Mm-hmm. He had one of the more impressive combines in history with, running the 4.3 and the vertical. I mean, he was in the top 99 percentile in almost every category. Who is that player this year that comes in and just everybody says, holy crap?
You know what? And Julio did that with a broken foot. And Julio did that just so that he could have the surgery and be ready for OTAs and minicamp. That's why Jonesy did that. But he's such a beast. Like, he did that with a broken foot. Just giving y'all some context to what he did. A young guy that will come out and just impress all of us with everything that he does. The safety out of South Carolina. Oh, what's my man's name? I just watched him today. When you watch him on film, and again, this is what I'm hearing from some of my scouting buddies. Number 7, single-digit safety of South Carolina, Petty.
I know who you're talking about.
Yuri, what's his last name? But just looking at him and the way that he plays and the speed that he plays at, you can see a 4.3, and I want to say he's listed about 6'3", 225 and 30 pounds. He could be one of those guys that show up and do something sick at the combine.
You talking Man Maury?
Yes. What's his first name?
Nick.
Nick, yes. I think he's going to test off the charts at the combine. I think my man Grant from Michigan is going to test off the charts. And just seeing him chase down a running back, being 6'3", 350-something pounds, I would estimate him running in the 4.8s, 4.9s. And he's going to put up some freakish numbers.
What about maybe an Amari Hampton or either Luther Burden, who kind of got forgotten about this year because there was so much quarterback injury? He didn't have the numbers that they were expecting. A lot of people thought he might be the number one receiver, and then he just kind of got forgotten.
Luther can run, but he's not going to 4.3 me.
Not going to do okay.
Amari Hampton, I think he's going to put up something crazy. I think another person that in the wrong direction, Petty. I know you didn't ask. I think when I know when they measure Aston Genty, I think they're going to come back and be like, wow, he's smaller than what we think. And that's some of the stuff that when you actually get to the combine and you see him on the stage walking across, and then you get their height, weight, hand size, you're like, ooh. Now, there's also some guys that when they get across it. So let me set the stage for you. And I think it's one of the most grossest things that happen at the combine. It's the weigh-in, where the athletes line up alphabetical order depending on the position group, and they walk across the stage. And what you would say now,
this is the underwear Olympics comment really comes from.
Well, in compression shorts. Yeah. And all the scouts and everybody sit in the stands while you're walking across and standing there. Someone to get your height, 6'041, 191, hand 10 and a quarter. Wait, and they read that, and you're just standing there. Now, there's always a guy that has a pathetic 9-year-old body that looks like they've never hit the weights.
Tom Brady.
Sure.
That's the one that everybody remembers the most.
But the crazy thing is you hear, ooh.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Man, I'm telling you, it's one of the most they really got to look at that, because at the end of the day, what you can do, you can videotape it and send it to everybody. But I don't think you need to have all of the athletes walk across the stage so you can write down what their body type is.
Well, and then you got these offensive linemen coming, man. That's the one moment you're like, God, I wish I was a linebacker.
When you hear that groan, like, ew, or ooh. And you're walking across that stage, you're like, did they just say, like, did I hear that right? Yeah. They think that you haven't worked out and your body's gross.
And you're interviewing to go to the highest performing gladiators of all of the world. And you're getting that when you're
like when Cam Ward gets on that stage and he walks across, like, he's like, ooh, like soft body. Like, and you should be a decently shaped athlete. In shape.
You get Campbell walk. Right. Or even Jalen Milroe's gonna walk across that stage and people are gonna be like,
they're like, whoa. That yes. Now he's gonna. Everyone's check. So
before we get to the check, and we're gonna get to Milroe, we had a few good comments that I want to work in now before we get to the end that are pertinent. Tough as nails. Was Jimmy Johnson the best coach of all time? My opinion, yes. 1, great evaluator of talent. 2, motivator. 3, the invention of swagger. I agree with a lot of this. I mean, you look what he did with those Cowboy teams and the evaluations he did, the Herschel Walker trade that led to all the players. That's a tough, but I know Smoke always has a pretty strong opinion on this, and he's working in this. You really have an opinion on I think Bill Walsh can probably be thrown in this conversation, but what do you think?
Andy Reid.
Woo! So not Jimmy.
Andy Reid. Yeah, and I get it where you say Jimmy Johnson was a great evaluator. I can't stand on that because I was never in the room with Jimmy while he was evaluating. Mm-hmm. It might have been a combination of Jimmy and Jerry, because Jerry's done a good job of selecting talent as well. Just haven't been able to put it all together, pay the right ones and tell the other ones that you don't need to pay to move on. But I wouldn't put Jimmy in that conversation. You're still leaving out Belichick. You're leaving out Andy Reid. Yeah. Good run, but a good coach always adapts and understands when they leave an organization. Like, you should be able to rinse and repeat and do exactly what you did at one spot. He went down to Miami, didn't he?
Yes.
And he sucked. Andy Reid went to another team, didn't he?
He's done it twice.
Almost repeat. Andy Reid's done it with every single quarterback that he's been with. took Michael Vick out of jail and got Mike on the right track. Took Patrick Mahomes, where everybody thought he was going to be a train wreck. And he's now maybe the greatest quarterback of all time in that conversation. So he's won everywhere that he's been, and he's unearthed every quarterback that he's been around. So I would say Andy, because he went from Philly when they had success, left Philly, Kansas City, and got that done too.
Well, then if you're going to do Andy, and for those, if that's some of the criteria, I would throw Bill Walsh in the argument then as next, because he did it. He created that West Coast offense in Kansas City. Then he took it and won with Berg. He made Joe Montana mythically the best quarterback ever when he's probably not even in the top 10.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. And then did it with Steve Young. Bill Walsh, I think, I would have to – Bill Walsh and Reed would probably be my argument. But I get what Jimmy did with those Cowboys teams in the 90s.
Special. It was good. Huh? It was good. But he went to me, if you did it in one place, you should be able to do it.
Be able to replicate it. And that's a great point. He wasn't able to do it in Miami, place that should be able. And Reed, look, man, Reed's unbelievable. His play calling, that's a strong argument that Reed's multiple places. Started at Green Bay. That's Captain joking. Hi, can you explain to me why I'm not excited at all about Tatoria McMillan? Is he more of a Drake London or Mike Evans type of guy? If Ladd McConkey was on the board with T-Mac, who would you take first? Ooh.
T-Mac. He's going to be one of those guys that walks out there and performs well. Like Ladd McConkey last year, the best route runner in the draft, and he was a 4.3 guy, so he tested well. But he's a smaller receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Like T-Mac is a beast. T-Mac's the best receiver in this year's draft class.
Okay,
can do it as a vertical threat, big body route runner. Problem in the red zone, you have to have a plan for him, man or zone. Yeah, I would say he's closer to Mike Evans than he is to Drake, because T-Mac can run. Drake can't run that well for me.
Okay. Smoke, as always, here we go. Oh, man, I'm going to do that in the next one. All right, so you mentioned it. That man, he is going to walk across the stage in his tights.
It's compression shorts, bro.
Compression shorts, whatever you want to call them. Like we're going back to the Breakfast Club, like in the whole, like you wear tights. I wear the acquired uniform. Yeah, tights. So
and you get your hair cut by a stylist, not a barber. Keep going.
Well, regardless what my stylist says or my barber, they did tell me that Jalen Milroe is going to be at this combine, and he's going to look damn good. This is the one, and Can Milroe, he's taken some heat lately. He took heat at the Senior Bowl. He took heat late in the season at Alabama.
You gave him that. You gave him heat. You and the Bama fans.
Of course I did, because I did square peg round hole, and the people were trying to make him something he wasn't. But I never backed off smoking. You can say I gave him heat, but I also said what he was. One of the best athletes in the country, one of the best to ever play for Alabama. And that's the thing. He's going to go to this and get to showcase that side of Jalen Milroe. The speed, the athleticism, everything that made people drool over Milroe at one point in the season when they thought he could be a number 1 draft pick. That's the craziest thing, is I've never seen a player be all over the place like this in one season. So we've seen that. Don't throw it solely on. Well, just going from this guy can be a number 1 draft pick to maybe not even a third round. Who's made that kind of?
Carson Beck.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but he's still work. Yeah, he still be determined. He might not even get drafted.
The question that was asked.
Well, it's 2 players in the same year. A good call.
Yeah.
Well, how important is this combine for Milroe? Smoke, brass tacks.
I think it's very important for him in terms of the interview portion, because the question that most general managers want to find out is why. What happened from your first year starting and you taking that upward trajectory to the Georgia game when we saw you doing this, to plateauing, to not being able to figure out Oklahoma's defense and getting embarrassed by the Michigan defense? What was it? Why was the ball on the ground so much? Why is there rumbling coming out of Tuscaloosa that says there's times that you bucked the system and you went ahead and then you ran the play that you wanted to? That's out there. Are you a me guy or are you a we guy? Are you a leader in the right direction, or are you leading men in the direction that you want them to go to, which is not always what the coaches or the program wants you to do? Because someone with that ability should be able to be a 10-game winner and should be able to beat an Oklahoma by himself, just like what he did against Georgia. So you just don't want to see this roller coaster that he's been on. And the roller coaster that he's been on, you want him to have some type of accountability and explanation of why. Let me give you a quick story. It's a Steph Diggs story, and I don't even know if you remember it. But I evaluated Steph Diggs when he was coming out, and Steph was all over the place. Everyone had a problem here, and you kept hearing stories. And the main story that he had to get through is his ability and his want to when things got tough, and turning down some plays going across the middle. So people questioned his toughness, questioned his desire. So I'm in a train station, this old train station in Indy. So what happens is I'm outside of our meeting room, the hotel room, with Steph, waiting to walk him in to introduce him. Steph Diggs, University of Maryland, such and such. So he said, Smoke, you know what? Because we know each other from around the way. He says, you know what, Smoke, before we go in, once you introduce me, I got it from there. I said, all right, cool. I'm not going to say nothing. Introduce him. So he said, hey, listen, what you guys saw, this is when the owner, GM, OC is there. He said, what you guys saw, receiver coach as well too, what you guys saw on film this year, that's not me. The only reason why I did half of that stuff, because I wanted to get here. The last 3 years that I played, every single year I got hurt. Wasn't going to happen. So I did everything to make sure that I showed up today. So everything that y'all saw on film is real. But that's not the real Steph Diggs. When I said everyone had to sit back and like, whoa, recalibrate. Your whole entire question and answering process in your interview of him. Because he told you exactly what I am. That's not me. So don't question my toughness, because I'm tough. But still yet, the team took him in the 5th round, Minnesota Vikings did, and he still got paid, and he's one of the best receivers in the league. But long story short, he admitted to what he was and what he was going to be. And what you want to do is tell the truth. You don't want to sit there and make every excuse of why. Why didn't you throw the ball right here? Well, my quarterback coach said, like, okay, at some point take accountability. I didn't see it. This wasn't my progression. And explain your way through it instead of pointing the finger and explain and telling us the reason why you couldn't get it done. Explain to us why you can get it done, but the reason why you didn't get it done, be accountable to that, fess up to it, and it's more respectable than an excuse maker over and over again and why you're not playing as good as you're supposed to be.
Smoke, a few weeks before the Senior Bowl, you kind of gave a PSA to Milroe. Hey, listen to me, do this here. It almost sounds like you're trying to speak through the show to him again here. So one thing I want first was kind of two-parter in the famous Varhana. Those questions you brought up, hey, are you a me guy, we guy? Are these questions that he will get asked in these interviews? Or those
Absolutely.
points?
Absolutely. Okay. If I'm one of the scouts that's interviewing him, I want to find out what happened to the player that played against Georgia and beat Georgia twice, to the player that could not get a first down against Oklahoma, to a player that looked confused at times on simple route concepts, a player that looked at times like just not connected to his team when you saw him on the sideline. Because if you're a real good scout, you're watching like body language, mannerisms. What happened in the game against Tennessee where you're struggling, and instead of getting on the phone and talking to your OC and getting your group together and rallying your group together, you sat over on the bench and slumped down? Like, that's not a true leader. And you have better leadership qualities than that. Because if you listen to him speak and you know what type of person he is. But what happened? What happened to the guy? Not last year, the year before that we saw you saw energy, excitement, like he was engaged with his teammates. To the guy that we saw this year that wasn't connected. Like there's a reason why they came up with Lank. Lank is his, and whatever that mantra is, that's what he and his team like rallied behind in order to go beat Georgia. So what happened to that Jalen Milroe? To the guy that we're seeing now that goes down to the Senior Bowl and you're hearing rumblings of being up and down and riding that roller coaster again, to being where people want to say, you know what, he's a first-round talent, but I'll take him in the third. Well, he ain't going to make it that far. So you better get him early.
Speaking of getting early, one of our fans kind of made a comment to that, and I think that kind of brings up, I think the consensus is Cam Ward and Shedeur are going to go 1 and 2 in some order as the quarterbacks. The big debate, though, is there's such a huge drop-off. There's an expectation that the next guy may be Dart or Milroe in the second round and at some point. But, man, we've seen this in the past, Smoke.
Can I say something real quick? There's not a drop-off in talent.
Well, that's
a drop-off in consistent performance.
Okay, great.
If you're talking about, like, raw skills,
yeah,
like Shedeur doesn't have the best raw skills. Or skill set. Milroe can throw the football, but it's just not consistent enough. Shedeur and Cam, their body of work is greater than Jalen Milroe's roller coaster ride. So as a talent evaluator and as someone that's taking that or making that pick, you got to weigh your losses. You got to say, do you want something secure like Michael Penix, and both of those guys, Cam and Shedeur, would have been every quarterback. Who was the last one to get drafted? That was Bo Nix. Yeah, I had those guys behind Bo Nix in terms of evaluation from last year. And even if I take their tape this year, like they're both wouldn't be in that.
They would have been behind those guys.
Yeah, first round talent, but they would be in the 15s, in the teens. So you gotta, as a decision maker, you gotta say, am I willing to take that raw talent that might come out there and run a 4.3, throw the ball 70-plus yards, and put on a show, but understand that you might be getting Anthony Richardson? Or
I think that's what you're getting.
I'm
sorry. I know I'll catch heat from you, but
different guys. One guy actually played football. One guy didn't play football, bro. He didn't play enough games for us to walk away. At least Jalen, you have enough on Jalen to talk about his body of work. Jalen Milroe was a starting quarterback at the University of Alabama for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson was a part-time player in Florida. So you were going out there hoping that you can get the performance and hoping, but that's a top 5 pick. You don't want to hope. You want to know. So that's why Jalen Milroe's dropped down some, because you don't want to go into drafting a first rounder and not being able to check all boxes. So the way I was taught, when you're taking the first 2 rounds, they got to be clean. Medical, clean. Character, clean. Knowing who they are, clean in terms of players, clean. So when you take it up to your owner and say, we're going to take Daniel Pettey with the first overall pick, ding, that's our franchise guy. And we don't have to worry about him. Like, there shouldn't be a question like, how many games do you think he understands how to be a leader? No, you should already know that.
That's no.
Can he perform when the pressure is? You should already know that. That's a check. You should know that. So those are the questions, and that's what's pushing Milroe down, because those questions haven't been answered. And that's where the interviewing process can help him while he's at the combine to get those answers across and look people in the eyes and tell them exactly why. And it's not somebody else. It's you.
So take notes there, Milroe. Tell them the truth, man. Don't sugarcoat it. Be real.
Well, you can be too real. You can get coached up, but we'll get to that later on.
William Morris, who will be and this is the quarterback who is probably steamed the most in the talks since the end of the season, what he's done since. Who will be a better NFL QB, Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart, and why?
If I had to put money on it, the way that the NFL is playing, you would say that Jalen Milroe has a better chance over Jackson Dart because, Petty, I know you're an Ole Miss guy, and I know you like Dart, and it's not like you're Homer.
Well, you know, I have I got my drawbacks on Jackson too.
And you're being honest when you make your assessments, but when you study Jackson Dart, there are a lot of layup throws. And when I say layup throws, free access throws that aren't true NFL throws.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see Jalen Milroe, he'll miss on some simple intermediate route concepts, but then you'll see him go on a run of making 6 or 7 throws that you're like, there's probably, he's the only one in this draft that can make that throw.
Really? So
you have to be able to get his good all the time, but that takes time. So that's where if you had a veteran quarterback and you say, you know what, we're not in a rush to throw a Milroe on the field, you can take that and develop that. If you have it in you, if you have a quarterback coach and a quarterback developer in your building, Jackson Dart, I still want to act like, what happened? What happened to you making everybody else around you play better? Lifting the offense at a higher level. Your defense is ranked number 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you have receivers, offensive line is good enough. Don't want to hear about the run game.
Mm-hmm.
You got one of the better play callers in the universe. What happened to those tough games that we saw Jalen Milroe win by himself? We did see him pull out a tough one against Georgia, so they're both 1-0 against Georgia.
Yeah.
But Jalen's was cleaner. Jackson's was gutsy.
Yeah. Great. That's a great.
So there's some stuff missing between both of them. Neither one of them are clean.
And I think you make a great point, Smoke, about throwing to wide open receivers. Lane's offense a lot of times puts quarterbacks behind the 8 ball in the minds of NFL scouts because they are throwing to guys that are 15 yards wide open. And if you've heard AJ McCarron talk, wide open in the NFL is when a guy's got his arm up and he's being blanketed by a ball hawk. In college, you 10 yards, get it to them. And that's what people were worried about with Jackson. And what that I think leads to is when you can throw it to a guy that's 20 yards wide open, you kind of hold it a little longer and get that perfect throw. Well, it puts that sense of security where you end up holding the ball a little longer and you're not that 1-2 punch or I pop, 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 pop. And that was my reservation on Jackson. I feel like he holds the ball too long. And that, again, could be a result of Lane's offense. So, and that'll get you killed in the NFL.
That's an internal clock that has to get sped up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like AJ said over and over again, he does an awesome job. If anybody had time, just listen to him talk. Beautiful quarterback mind. But that internal clock has to go off at some point. And he is a better athlete than we give him credit for.
Yeah.
Like savvy, smooth athlete. But Milroe's an explosive, dynamic runner. Not in terms of making defenders miss and being creative, but you give him a slight crease, he's going to punch that. And I know in the NFL that you can't live in that world of mobile quarterbacks running the ball, but when things break down, he could be the difference maker. And you can put together an offense around him, and he can get you going and win a few games that you're not supposed to because it's just his athleticism.
There you go. It's a great question. I don't know. I think it depends a lot on where these kids end up, what systems they end up in, what they've got around them. Damon Bama Boy Davis says, but watch Milroe become a Jalen Hurts story. I'll be waiting.
Okay. So when my biggest miss on Jalen Milroe, and I'll say it over and over again, I didn't think he could throw the ball well. I thought Jalen Hurts. Jalen Milroe, to me, throws the ball better at this stage. But the thing that I did not give Jalen Hurts credit for is his toughness. his ability to go into the most chaotic situation and look like you just said, good morning, you're having the best day. And I'm talking about the whole world is coming apart. With Milroe, when I look at him, I can see the world's coming apart. And at times that weighs in your mind as a quarterback. But you can't move Jalen Hurts. Like, he's unflappable. He is so mentally tough that even when his teammate, A.J. Brown, brings a book on the sideline that's totally embarrassing, or he throws 5 or 6 balls and they don't even open up the offense to him, he still goes out there and on the biggest stage, he outplays Patrick Mahomes and brings home a title. Yours truly didn't believe that he could do that. But over and over again, he proves that his mental toughness, and when you interviewed him and you listen to him talk and you listen to the guys that he played with and you see where he comes from, like, you're like, damn, his DNA is a little bit different. And Jalen Milroe has that in him. Like, his background, when you do his background, his research from his parents, from him being doubted in terms of a coach not believing in him and overcoming that. Now, we all look and say Billy O wasn't all the way wrong with some of his comments. But the same can be said about Jalen Hurts. But neither one of those guys are like some miracle story. Both of those guys are dynamic athletes that fell into the best situation. Jalen Hurts might be the luckiest guy in America.
He has stumbled on some good football teams.
Good.
Great.
There you go. Keep
Great
going.
all the way around. Speaking of great, not much is greater than Title Towel. And I did it again. Upside down, I did it. Title Towel, go to whitwillsports.com today. Use the promo code STANDARD. Get your Title Towel at 20% off, and maybe you can even hold it upright, unlike my dumb ass.
You know what Title Towel needs to – they need to do it. You know when you look in the rear view mirror, they need to come up with a towel that you can just put in your rear view mirror and it shows right side up.
The Petty Towel.
Ding, 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 ding.
Man, we have got a hot topic of SEC coaches, but speaking of coaches, Bama boy Davis says we need Smoke Dixon on our Bama staff. It just makes sense.
Call my agent, Carl Reed, 1.25 4-year contract. Get me down in a heartbeat.
Hey, bring it. Hey, the man, I don't think the coaching door is closed for our man.
I'm on the evaluation side. I'll get me and Courtney can do it down there on that side of it. Yeah, I'm gonna let these coaches. I'm done with blowing the dog whistle. I'm good on that. I just want to get the players.
Need that heat in there too. But speaking of coaching, the SEC, man, it was always an inferno to be an SEC coach. You just walk in and you just sit on a hot seat. But I don't think that's ever been more true than now with the depth of the league and how good all the teams are. But it seems there's some coaches that are probably okay in their skin. I think Lane Kiffin's all right at Ole Miss. Kirby Smart probably decent at Georgia. Sark is okay at Texas. But there's a few guys that are probably walking on thin ice right now that have a little bit to prove this upcoming season. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Hugh Freeze, where Auburn has spent more in the offseason than any other program, including Ohio State and Texas A&M and USC. We're looking at you down there at Baton Rouge, Kelly, that's, don't even have a defense at a school that's known for defense, and even your offense isn't enough to overcome it. Sam Pittman may be a dead man walking. I don't know. Billy Napier, everybody's telling us they got the best quarterback known since that's ever walked down there, and he's going to win him a Heisman Trophy. We'll see. These Florida people are pumped.
22nd time. 22nd time. Don't throw it. Don't do that to my guy Cam Newton. Cam was down there. Like, knock it off. Cam's a national. Cam was at Florida. Can't say walk the campus. Cam was once down.
Dude, they love this guy.
So was Danny Warfel. Like, I get it. I get it. Danny
Warfel was college Joe Montana.
I get it, but we're talking about college career. But keep going. I ain't mean to slow down for another day.
We got a man in Tuscaloosa that, look, you walk into Alabama, really? He got something to prove next year. I don't know, Smoke, you grin. Does he got something to prove?
Petty, you know what? You give me these coaches and let me knock them down for you.
All right, let's start at the bottom, and that's Auburn and Hugh Freeze.
Okay, listen. That's a bad – don't say start at the bottom, because right now the viewers are saying he's the worst of the worst. And I don't think he's the worst of the worst. All right, so let's start with Coach Freeze.
Okay.
All right, so we got to put this in context. What year is this for Coach Freeze, Petty?
3.
Okay. So first year, you're trying to win over your locker room and flip your roster. You got a bad roster. That was bad, right? So after year one, what's happening is you're trying to keep the halfway decent players on your team because everybody's coming in and poaching them. So really, year 3, he's done a really good job in this cycle on the portal side and the high school side in terms of recruiting. And he got a quarterback that he feels, Jackson Arnold, that he feels can operate his offense. So would I say he has a lot to prove of being on the hot seat? He's not going to get fired because it's tough. Just hear me out. I know your eyes went up because
well, I know what the reason, and I've got a reason, but go for it. And
the reason why it's tough to fire coaches nowadays is their buyouts, and their agents are doing a phenomenal job of giving them large contracts that you have to go and ask the same boosters now, Petty, that you're asking to donate into your collective. You're asking them for the same. Listen, I need $40 million to buy Hugh Freeze out. Then the next month that you see him, I need another $50 million to help hire the new coach. And then a couple of weeks, or in that same sentence, I need $20 million raised to go into my collective. So getting a new coach that you're going to have to pay the players and pay the new coach and pay the new staff, it's just hard. And I don't think he's that bad of a coach because he's doing a good job in recruiting. And they took some steps towards the end. And you got to give coaches an opportunity to get their program right instead of just firing them and getting them in and getting them out. It's all about the money now, Petty. You can't just go out and fire. If that was the case, Billy Napier would have got fired last year. Florida didn't have enough money to do that. And it's who are you going to get that's that much better, that's going to win 10 or 11 games like that under those circumstances? It's tough.
And I hear all that. But I also know the history of one of the most unrealistic universities on the planet. They've always used Alabama as their bar, and if they don't meet it, regardless if they're a top 10 team, which it blows my mind, they've always been a really good program, but they set themselves to the Bama standard, and if they don't meet it, they get crazy. This is Freeze's 3rd year. If he doesn't beat Georgia and Bama, that's 0-6 against those schools, and that's not something that Auburn takes. Yellowwood will start finding money to pay that buyout. I think the seat's hotter than that. I think and the money they put in to win this year, like you said, they bring in Jackson Arnold. He had a good young receiving core last year. The pieces
he got one out there now. Coleman's a problem.
Coleman's a dude. He's a dude.
He's a problem.
All right.
It's warm. It's warm. I don't think he's got to get up and not sit there. And they got some really good guys in their recruiting department.
They did. They had a hell of a recruiting department.
I'm telling you, they're doing it. Listen. Calm down, fam.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna calm down and I'm gonna head to the bayou where it gets a little crazier, where they start drinking that moonshine, and they got expectations. They'll fire a coach with an 800 winning percentage because he can't beat Bear Bryant and Charlie McClendon. They tried to fire Nick Saban because he lost to UAB and Eli Manning and Ole Miss. Luckily, they're smart enough to hold on.
In that landscape, you could do that.
Is Kelly on the hot seat in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, he's on. His seat is a little bit warmer than Hugh Freeze.
Okay.
But the last 3 head coaches at LSU, all of them are national champions. Started out with Nick Saban.
Yep.
Brought a natty home. Les Miles brought one home. Even Ed Woodwatch.
Got
him one too. And last time, we all checked before this guy showed up from South Bend, DBU, defensive U, was LSU. Now I'm talking about you get a hot knife and they're butter and everybody runs through it. You're struggling to find DBs. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You're struggling to find defensive linemen. What? So when you lose Bryce Underwood, that would have changed your trajectory of how your fans view you. And I'm not saying that Nussmeier would have left, but it's a good situation to have too, that you don't have to just say, but that guy's going to be your plan after Nuss leaves. You lose that one, and then you lose your receiver. Then you lose the Meadows. I thought was committed as well too. They got out of there, and we know where he ended up. So in high school recruiting, you struggled there. So now you go all in on the portal, and you're doing solid. But when you go portal and you start taking your own money to put it inside of your collective, you're putting the pressure on yourself too. But again, I want to say BK's buyout's like $40 million. So as much as you want to say fire, I'm going to say the last coach that we're going to see that walks away with a fat bag like that is Jimbo Fisher, where you tell him to leave and pay him. I don't think BK is going to be that awful where that happens. He's not going to win. He's not going to win a national championship. But as long as he gets in the playoffs, I think it is. But the pressure is up on him because he does have an NFL quarterback. He did have 2 NFL offensive linemen last year. The first one that's going to arguably be taken off the draft board this year. And that's Will Campbell. And if you can't win with that, with your receivers, that's tough. That's tough. But
that's a fan base that, like you said, they watched a literal caveman win a national title. Their expectations are up there. They expect to win. They expect to win big.
Yeah, caveman had like a
monster. He had a hell of a staff. Let's be real. He had one of the best offensive coordinators. He had a generational quarterback. Receivers,
DBs, defensive linemen, running back.
I'm pretty sure you could have let myself,
how about this? My oldest daughter, my baby girl, Savvy, and my son and your kids could have gone out there and done just about what Easy Ed did with that bag on.
Just go out, have a football. Listen to the coach.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
They fired him, gave him a bunch of money too. He was so happy. He's like, hey, I don't got a coach.
He walked to that meeting. They called him, and he knew. They're like, "Yeah, we need you to come in. It's a serious.
I'm coming.
Talk.
I'm here.
He went and got coffee, a box of donuts, and come in and said, "What we talking about, boys? What we got? Oh, I'm fired."
They said, "I want your key fob. Say less." But yeah, what's your next guy up on the seat?
Next guy, and look, you talked about him. He was on the hot seat this year because his fans are nuts. The money wasn't there, and this is hot seat or something to prove. DJ Lagway is getting press up there with Arch Manning as the best quarterback in the SEC next year. He's got something in the tank.
He's good. He's a good player.
I watched him. Billy, for all the talk of the back end of their schedule being the biggest gauntlet, Florida actually showed some life at the end of their schedule and played better football as the season went on. But look, man, Florida, this kind of goes in line. Auburn, LSU, these are schools with expectations. These are schools, not so much Auburn as LSU and Florida, but these are schools that have recently, and hell, Auburn even played for national titles. They expect national title contention level teams, and Florida hadn't been there in a couple years, and now they've got their guy quarterback.
Florida hadn't been there in like a decade. So
it's been a while.
Yeah, take Florida out of that national championship conversation. The only one that should be left in there, and I'm not knocking the school. I'm just saying what the program's been in the last 10 years. Take them out.
Yeah.
But LSU, yes, leave them in.
Yeah.
Because they've done that in the recent, 6 years?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're still in that conversation. But Auburn and Florida, knock it off. Come on down there in the middle to bottom pack and just be happy that you got an 8-win season. And a lot of those wins, you study those like cross your finger, hope to die, thank you. We got through that one with Florida. Mm-hmm. So when you have one possession wins or close ones, you got to look at yourself and say this could have gone either way. But you can't take credit away from winning because your team learned something. And as a coach, Billy Napier, you found a way to push your team through adverse times to get the W. But Petty, you missed one. Okay, you missed one. I'm talking about You gave me this one. It's a layup. Boomer Sooner. And I know you don't want to talk about beat Alabama. Okay.
That might be and shoot, not only did I miss one, Smoke, I'm going to slap myself on the wrist here. I might have missed the hottest seat in all of the SEC.
Hey, put some baby powder on your face and slap in your palm and slap yourself. All right?
No, Venables is absolutely the hottest seat in the SEC. I'm a dumbass. No, you're dead on. And explain why. I mean,
so my first step of a coach losing control of your program is when you fire a coordinator during the season. And the second step is when you go back to whatever side of the ball that you coach and you take over full responsibility of either defense or offense, and you're not delegating responsibility as a head coach. See, a head coach is not a position coach. A head coach is not a coordinator. A head coach coaches all the coaches, and he's overall over the entire program. So in order to make sure that your hands is on everything in the program, you can't solely have blinders on and focus on one specific area of the team. And Arbuckle that came over from Wazoo with John Mateer, the best portal quarterback, 1,000-yard rusher, 3,000-yard passer, dual threat player, and you brought over your coordinator with you that coached Cam Ward the year before and coached John Mateer the year after, and now you have him over here. Now, you don't have the same receiving squad that you had with Nick Anderson and Jaleel Farouk. You've lost some of those. But you're still Oklahoma. So what I would say to Coach Venables, and he's already done it, is like when you hire coaches or coordinators, allow them to coordinate or coach their side of the ball or their position. And then you coach the coaches, because that's what you do as a head coach.
I like this comment by Tough as Nails. I like Venables. He took over a bad situation. Come on, Smoke. Let me address that real quick. He took over a bad situation like Nick Saban took over a bad situation, but it's at a school like Oklahoma or Alabama. These are schools that you can right the ship pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. And I feel like Venables was a lot of the secret sauce of Dabo's success in defense. But I like what you said. I think he's a defensive coordinator, not a head coach.
So he said he was in a bad situation. Come on, Smoke. Okay, Petty, can you read me Lincoln Riley's last year with the record on?
I'll pull it up. Yeah, I don't think he took over that bad of a situation at Oklahoma.
Tough as nails, because tough as nails, you like to be soft as butter. Okay. You got to come with a stronger question.
Okay.
Because you're the stat guy. You're the stat guy.
He was 27. Okay, where's his dadgummit? I can't get the dadgum. Okay, here we go. His last year at Oklahoma wasn't all that good, Smoke. He was 10-2.
Terrible
Situation.
He took over a 10-2 program. My God, that's awful. Oh, he took Caleb Williams. You had Dylan Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last time I checked, Dylan Gabriel didn't lose a game when he was at the other place. When he was at Oregon, he didn't lose a game last year in the regular season at Oregon. So you got your quarterback with players. You just haven't coached well enough. So, sorry. If you take over a 10-2 program, that's not a bad situation. That's a pretty damn good situation that you just left.
I also thought how he handled the Jackson Arnold situation throughout the season was kind of
handle it like a defensive coordinator.
It did.
Right?
And you got the guy, yeah.
Not to have when you hire a defensive coordinator and you have a young quarterback, and the quarterback is the face of your program, you don't want leave him alone. Don't talk to him.
Yeah, don't
talk to him. It's not your job. Let the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator talk to him for you. So you speak through them. You scream and you yell at those coordinators and that quarterback coach. But don't you dare say a word to Jackson. Don't say anything to the quarterback, because the same way that you coach your linebackers, you can't handle quarterback that way. you got to handle quarterback with careful glove hands. They're highly sensitive people that you want to be tough as nails, and they are. But the thing that you can't do is you can't bring any type of negative energy towards them or question their credibility in front of their team, because they have to walk into that huddle down by 6 with 30 seconds left, and then you walk in and whatever play you call, you look them in the eye and say, yep, it's going to work because I got it. Now, if you just mother effed him in front of everybody and told him that you ain't this, you can't do this, can't, those guys looking at him like, coaches don't even believe in him. So why do we need to believe in him?
Schedule doesn't get easier next year for Brent. I do believe Oklahoma will probably be in the coaching market by the end of next season.
Again, I'm telling you, that buyout, bro.
Oklahoma, they ain't going to do it for that long. Dude, I'm telling you, there's going to be some coaches get the axe smoked.
Listen, if Billy Napier didn't get the axe at the Florida, right? I get what you're saying, but you have to understand where we're at right now with collective and NIL. The same people that you're asking to pay $40 million, go find that money. That's the same group that you're going to walk in another couple of months when this new coach comes in and say, hey, listen, we got to raise 20.
Well, and that was the argument going back to one of our episodes with Siski that you and him were saying, well, why use that money and buy out a coach that obviously was good enough to coach to get here? Why not go get him the players to win with the ability?
So pick which one that you want. You want to pay 40, say go away. And it's not like Brett Venables can't coach. He can.
No, he coach.
Right? You just need better tools around you. Maybe need someone to help you in the personnel department. You got my number. Call me. We've done this before.
Open.
Got
ready.
My number. He know. Listen.
And again, let's go back. It's about personnel. It's about the people around you. Ed Orgeron won a national title. We just said this. You can do it at Oklahoma. You just got to have the right pieces.
You just got to come up off that bread, Brent.
There you go. Yeah. And I'm with you. I don't think this next one's on the hot seat, but we got to talk about him. Give a little love to our Bama fans. And look, at Bama, I think you're on a hot seat. Saban's the only coach in Bama history not named Bear that probably didn't have a hot seat at some point. Yeah,
right. He was on the hot seat after that. What year did they play? Michigan State in the Citrus Bowl.
Oh, and
the year was that? They're 10-3. Yeah,
third year, right? That was after the title against Texas.
Yeah,
but man, I don't think it's a hot seat, but I do think he's got something to prove. What does DeBoer have to prove this year?
That you have control over your team, and that you are the leader of this Bama train, and that you figured out that regardless of how whatever direction that the seat is going, that Petty's putting you on, not Smoke, Petty's putting you on.
I just said he wasn't on the hot.
So he's on the cool seat. Okay, we're talking about a coach that's on the cool
seat. He's on the Bama hot seat, which is our fans are ready to
Yeah,
listen, ready at all times.
If you go say it with your chest, and I know there's plenty of comments about it, but Bama fans walk around with goggles on, and they're biased goggles, and they think that their team, they had the best players in America. That's not the case. Go check out the draft. Just check out the combine. This is the least amount of players that Alabama sent to the combine in a long time. I think since the 16th, is it 16 team or is it 09 team? They're only sending 9. It's unheard of. Mm. So it's not like Nick Saban left them with a national championship team. Now, you left them with a 10-win team. You should have got that done. That should have gotten done. And you left them with a quarterback that can function at a high level, but the receivers, not so much. Running backs, not so much. So those are the playmakers. And Milroe needs playmakers to get the ball in their hands. Like, not so much. If Ryan Williams says, I'm staying in school for another year, yeah, you don't have that. So who are you throwing the ball to? And then on defense, I'm still waiting to see those edge players that have like the hair standing up on the back of your neck when they're coming off the edge. the Tim Williamses of the world, the Courtney Upshaws of the world. Like, those guys aren't there. Marcel Derrick, like, those guys aren't in that locker room, aren't in that building. So the last few years with Nick, whoever that was up in his personnel, it wasn't up to par to what us Bama fans and alums were accustomed to, of a physically dominant, explosive team that whatever pace that you wanted to play at, and however you wanted to make the game, if you wanted to make it dirty, bust your face there too. If you want to make it physical, we'll handle that too. Or if you want to just put it up in the air and throw it to the best receivers, at one point, Bama could have done that too. Not so much. So, again, like, give some grace and some understanding. We can't go for the lack of discipline. And I'm not talking about penalties. I'm talking about players understanding what it is and just give them direction. But this is the second year. I think we need to calm down. He's the second year of the 10-year, $100 million contract. So fire him if you want to. You got to pay him the rest.
I agree. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, give him an opportunity to flip this roster around, him and Courtney.
Absolutely.
And that staff down there, and make it into their own. And once they make the roster into what they want it to be, then let's start judging them. Well, because right now these are Nick's kids that he's playing with.
And what's funny, Smoke, and I haven't heard this argument since prior to his first game coaching at Alabama, but before his first game, the justification was, look at how this guy's won. He won at the NIAA level at 3 titles. And I don't care. It's relative to who you're coaching against. He was the best. He has won every damn where he's been. And that's why everybody's like, that's back to board. So we got a 9-3 season and people are already starting to quit. Come on, guys. No, this
like I said, I believe it was a 10-win team. So there was one off of the pace. And they're one game away from being in the college football playoffs. So if they get into the playoffs, is he on that seat? So it's you got to find that quarterback, and you got to get over last year sleepwalking at the end of the season, and don't come into this season the way that you ended last year, because that could happen. That can get really, really ugly.
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Man, Smoke, always great. We did have a few more comments and questions from the fans I want to get to before I let your brilliance out of here. Kenafi, our boy Kyle, said, question for later. What are y'all's opinions of the 12-team playoff being expanded, and could it be a good thing? Appreciate y'all for the show. Real quick, I don't think it has to go past 12. Smoke has even said this. When you get to 16, then 17 and 18 are going to be pissed off, and that's always going to be the case. Only thing I would change is no automatic bids and just take 1 through 12 and seed them as is. But Smoke?
No, I don't like it expanding to more than 12. I don't even like the 12-team format. I'm okay with just picking the best 2 and just playing the national championship game. But it's here. So the genie's out the box. Yeah, everybody wants the underdog. Yeah. Just like the underdog won it this year, right? Sure.
Yes.
But
the underdog that someone posted in here, they heard today they won a title, and it was $38 million in the hole as a result.
Yeah, there's no price value on winning. Like, winning, it's called the price of winning. Whatever that is, you pay it and you win. I don't like this format because if you're forecasting this right, everybody should look at the NBA. Okay, and the players are getting paid. The league made a ton of money, but the fans lost interest just because you're watering down the regular season product. You're potentially going to a 9 in-conference game season, and then they're trying to meet up on having 4 SEC automatic bids and 4 Big Ten automatic bids. So what you're telling me is this. Going into week 10, if I know that I have the 1 or the 2 seed locked up, typically the rival game is second to last game of the season, somewhere around there. Yeah, we're not playing. I'm sitting down my best players, and we're not going to compete. Okay, so as fans, you're not going to throw your rivals out the window. Championship games aren't going to mean anything. I'm a conference champion, and I think that's very important to win your conference. If I'm top 2, yeah, I'm in a conference game. I'm not playing because I already have an automatic bid. I'm resting my team to get ready for the next season, which is called the playoffs. So once you start putting more games and more teams in the playoffs, the value of the regular season goes down. It's just like what the NBA tried to do with this in-season tournament. Yeah, no one cares about watching the regular season NBA basketball games anymore. We're just going to sit back and just wait for the playing game. And once the playing game gets over, the playoffs. So you have something in front of you that you guys aren't looking at. And it's becoming unwatchable. It's called NBA playoffs. And a 40-year-old man has to stay behind just to hold it up so we can pay attention to it.
We've been getting some NBA later on the year. Me and Smoke going back and forth with that. We like talking about NBA, but no, Smoke, you hit something that I hadn't thought about until there's this moment of how just out of sync and out of whack this. I mean, we know it's jacked up and they didn't know what the hell they were doing, but even more I think about it, you're going for this pro model of playoffs, and then yet you got a championship game in the middle, making them play an extra meaningless game. Can you imagine Buffalo having to play the Ravens one more time and just delaying the NFL playoffs a week so we could get a champion of the AFC East?
I can tell you what's not going to happen. They're not going to play in the game.
No, they'd be like, hell
They're going to
no.
say, hey, listen, we'll just get in as the third seed, and we'll figure it out when we get in.
Or either we're going to roll out our entire damn practice squad that week, and you're going to see two practice squads play against each other for something that don't matter.
Now, there's rumblings about not playing spring games. Keep adding more games to the season. Players get paid to play during the regular season, not during the spring. So now that I'm not rolling out my number one quarterback out there so somebody can mess around and roll into his knees or do something stupid. No. So keep adding these games and playing out these scenarios, and we're going to have load management.
I'm glad you said that, Smoke, because a lot of people got on to you and Marvin saying, oh, you're getting on the fans. And I mean, this is our chance to take our kids and see Bryant. And well, then you don't give a shit about the players at all, because what they're putting them through and playing a game that's meaningless is just taking a chance at getting another pro throw situation in a game that don't matter. And is that what you want? You want to go just so you can see your boys play one time, so you can see who the future guys are in a game that don't matter? Come on, man. There's other ways that you can go to the university, get all that crap in without there being an 8-day game that means nothing.
Hey, Petty, the real reason why a lot of us like going back for our spring game just to hang out with our old teammates.
And look, I'm a fan. So y'all are getting on you guys saying you're taking it away from the fans. I'm a fan. I haven't given a shit about a spring game, and I don't know when. So I don't know why y'all do so much.
After 06, when Nick sold that place out, it's like, okay, somebody else tried to break the record. Once the record didn't get broken,
Nebraska had to break it, then Texas had to break it, and then nobody gave. They were there to be seen and not for what.
Then they were doing charitable events. Somebody, like, knock it off. I get it. If you want to go out and get the hot dogs and the burgers and barbecue, go out there and just watch the simulated practices.
Well, if you do go to hot dog, you're not going to get this Denny dog. Is it going to make a return? I don't know. If the last time Bama won a title, they didn't have a spring game, and they had Denny dogs in the concession stand. So take that for what you will.
I never had a Denny dog a day in my life.
God, you missed out, son.
I'm good. Hot dogs? Is this a hot dog?
We don't. It's not American to ask what's in a hot dog, Smoke, so don't even ask. Tough as nails. This is a question right up Smoke's alley. We love debating this shit.
This is the last one. Let's get it.
The Great Wall was the best offensive line in history. Period, Smoke. Eric Williams, Nate Newton, boy, he was a stud. Mark Stefanowski, Mark Tuinei, and the bad boy Kevin Gogan. That was a damn good offensive line, Smoke.
How many Hall of Famers are on there?
All of them? Are they all not? Nate is.
Nate ain't no Hall of Famer.
Eric ain't no Hall of Famer for running cocaine and pot.
Stop. All right, Petty, listen. Stop.
Hey, he got busted with 20 pounds. That wasn't my fault.
Allegedly. I wasn't there. Allegedly.
I don't allegedly find 20 pounds of pot in the car, but okay.
I wasn't there. I'm not going to go. Eric Wood, no. No. I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles, this year's offensive line.
That's the debate, right? This year's
no, you can debate it. I'm not one of those players are better than Jordan Mailata. Not another one of those players aren't better than Lane Johnson. So after that, if you don't got two Hall of Famers on there, move on.
I just want to thank Tough as Nails for keep coming back. Smoke always.
Tough as
it's me
nails.
and you,
Throw
man.
Larry Allen in there, and you might have a conversation.
Yeah, where was Larry? Allen was in that group, wasn't he?
Tough as I'm T-Bone tell. Tough as nails, man. You getting buttery on me, bro. Get me buttery on me, man. Petty, it's been a good one, brother.
Tough as Nails, we love you, man. Keep on coming back. Give Smoke shit. He loves it. He likes giving it back. Look at that grin. Look.
Tough as nails, I love it.
Cat grin.
You keep me going, bro. I love it. Come on back next week.
Come
on
back
Larry
next
Allen in
week.
that.
Smoke, where can they find you?
It's going to come right across the screen. Coach GV Dixon. Like and follow all the stuff that I do, man. We had some really good conversation with some of my people that's connected with me, some of my followers. So if you want to have that one-on-one conversation about how crazy my takes are or how stupid I am, don't do that because I'm not going to respond to you. But if you tell me how incredibly intelligent I am, and if you want to, if you're coming to have a good conversation, that's awesome. But if you want to sit there and tell me how stupid I am or how dumb the take is, like it's pointless. So we can have a real good conversation. With that said, Coach GV Dixon, hit me up, like, follow, and I got a bunch of good stuff coming out. That top 5 linebacker who's coming. Marvin Constant's not on it.
He is not on the list. But he's going to help do the list. So I'm interested to see who Marvin thinks are amongst his peers the best 5. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a hell of an episode. But go back and check our last content. Like I said, the Shepherd video, the practice video, all the stuff from this week, and we got tons of content coming at you. So if you're over on Twitter or X, or if you're here right now, please hit that like and subscribe because you will get all the updates when the Mount Cody enters the building tomorrow night at 6 Central on the Bama Standard. And then you can check us out at 8 Central for the final whistle. Smoke might be moonlighting with my boy Herb and Roderick, so check him out over there tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Also,
you know what? They paid me like $1.5 million to do that, so I'm going over there and knock it out for those guys.
I might shoot, man.
You ain't worth $1.5.
Man, I've got what. I gotta
listen, you know I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna give you the 0.5, 1.5. I'm gonna give you 500 of it, and we'll do it together. But
so I can go to my stylist.
Listen, if you're paying, knock it off. Enough. Next week, same time, same place.
Next week, same time, same place. Thank you all for showing up. We'll see you next time. Love you all. Peace.